Welcome back, everybody. My name is Warrior009 and this is the Tekkit Experiment. Last episode I showed you guys how to make these cool weapons here. Weapons slash tools. This is the red Qatar and this is the red Morningstar. If you didn't see that episode, you need to go back one. It really is nice if you guys have the ability to make red matter tools and stuff. Makes it a lot easier. Dark matter you had 7 tools and now with red matter I only have 2. But on today's episode, we're going back into Railcraft. 2 episodes ago, I started Railcraft. I made that cool looking train over there that's kind of broken right now because the world's not loaded. But we started Railcraft. I showed you guys how to make some normal rails and some stuff because we do have this elevator system over here that we have not completed yet. If you guys don't know, Buster is currently unavailable for the last couple episodes, and he's still not back yet. And he's still very busy, so I'm doing this by myself. But today is I think, a very informative episode. We have a lot of things to go over, a lot of things in Railcraft. So, if you guys didn't see the Minecraft travels, not a lot of you did. I'm going to start doing this new thing where we have signs, like on today's episode. I'm going to list the things, and then if it is a suggestion from the comments, I will put the sign up there, and then put your name underneath, and try to give you guys some credit, keep you guys involved in these series. I know a lot of you love Tekkit, and so it'll probably be a little bit easier to have suggestions for Tekkit. But on today's episode, we are going to go over item loaders and unloaders, boarding tracks, holding tracks, normal rails, which you've already seen, but I'm going to show you again, crowbars, which you also have already seen, but I'm going to go over once again because you will need that, and chest carts, which you might already know from vanilla Minecraft or other Tekkit series, but these are all very vital to what we're going to be doing today. So, last time we showed you last time in Railcraft, I showed you how to make these coke ovens and the blast furnace. And if you guys see here, you have not seen this before on this series. You have not seen the automatic coke ovens, at least in our Tekkit series. You've probably seen it in other ones. You've seen this general setup. It's usually the same. So, I mean, if it's very basic. There's only really one way to do it. You can do buildcraft pipes. So if you want cobblestone pipes, I'm not going to be doing it here because I really want to keep it in Railcraft. But if you guys want to know more about that, I mean, it's going to be pretty much the same, but I will go over how to make this. But I'm eventually going to take this down in this episode, and we're going to link all 3 of these together so it just runs off of one system. So I'll quickly go over what we got here, and then I can go dive into a little bit deeper. So we have item loaders here that's loading coal into these chest carts, and it's going up. Here we have an item unloader, which I can't click on because, well, I'll get it here. An item unloader, which is taking the coal coke when it gets created and bringing it back and putting it into this chest. And then over here, we have another item unloader that's taking the creosote oil and putting it into this chest. So this is just if you want to keep it in Railcraft, this is the way to do it automatically. But this is the way you need to do it if you want to keep it in Railcraft. You need to have an item loader for the coal. So usually this is filled with coal, and then it takes it up to the top. An item unloader that unloads the coal coke, and another item unloader that gets the creosote oil. So obviously you guys know, and the phone's ringing. Item unloaders obviously take it out of the chest carts, and item loaders put it into the chest carts. So then it's basically the opposite when you get to the actual coke oven. So you're going to need an item unloader up top here, and this has to be for the coal. It has to be an unloader. The coal has to go into the top. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle, but it has to be somewhere on the top here. Down here on one of the sides, it doesn't matter which side, it just happens to be on this side, which would be west facing, I think? East facing? Regardless, that's an item loader, and that loads it, so it takes it away from the coke oven, puts it into here, into the little cart here going back and forth, and into this chest. And then down here, it's the same thing. We have another item loader that puts it into this chest, and brings the creosote oil up top. So I'm going to show you guys how to make everything here. So if you like really want to make this, you really need to pay attention. You can watch it a couple times. You could sit here with a piece of paper. I have a whiteboard sitting in front of me with, like, this took me a while to kind of figure out, but it looks complicated. It looks like it's difficult to make, but trust me, it is not that bad once I show you how to make all of these things. So we'll start off actually with a simple crowbar. The crowbar, if you haven't seen from a couple episodes ago, is very easy. It's just 3 iron ingots and 4 pieces of rose red. And if you don't know how to make rose red, you just get a rose and you put it in your crafting table and you get your rose red. So then, I don't need to make one because I already have one, but you need it because it's basically the wrench and or screwdriver. And I'm going to do this so I don't get bombed here. The wrench slash screwdriver of Railcraft. So it's very essential for this too. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean when the problem arises, because I'm sure some of you will have the same exact problem as I did before. So, but I'll show you actually how to make the item loaders and unloaders, because they're pretty simple for the most part. You guys have probably never made some of this stuff, like a dispenser and a detector, a storage detector. You might have made the dispensers back in vanilla Minecraft, but there really hasn't been huge needs for it ever. And then the detector, I believe, is part of Railcraft, but it's very easy. It's just wood and a pressure plate. So we're actually going to go back to the storage facility, sorting facility, whatever you want to call it, and we'll get all this stuff made. And if you didn't hear from my rant in the beginning of this episode, you actually need 3 item loaders and unloaders per coke oven. So since I have 3, I would need 9 each, but I already have 3 made. So, or at least I have enough for the very first coke oven. So I'm only going to need 6 more. So we're actually going to make the item loaders first, but if you've noticed, it's the same exact thing for both. It's just a different orientation. So I'm going to need 12 dispensers and 12 detectors. Now, the hard part about the dispensers is you're going to need bows. Now, I have some here. I doubt you can use a used bow. You usually cannot, but let's see if we can actually. So we need cobblestone and redstone, which we have plenty of. If you guys don't have plenty of, you can go find some. But if you guys are following along with this series, I mean, you should definitely have enough of all this shit already. So we're actually going to make... I'm not going to have enough to make 12, but... Actually, I might. No, I don't have enough bows. Okay. And this would actually be better in the automatic crafting bench, but... we'll just do this. It's not too bad. 6, 7. So I have 7 here. We need 5 more bows, which we need string and sticks for. So hopefully we have some string. Do we have string? Any string? 64 string. Good enough. And some sticks. Go over to... I don't know why I don't have like a normal crafting bench over here. I should just make one. It always bugs me that I have to use this thing and then it glitches out on me or something goes wrong. It's like, oh my god. So if you don't know how to make a bow by now, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it either. There it goes. So I need 5 more. Very simple. You guys are probably sitting there like, duh. We all know how to make these. Well, for the people that don't know how to make them, now you do. But I actually really enjoyed figuring out how to do this because I've seen it in other Tekkit series and I've always wondered how to make them. And then finally it's like, oh, this is a great time to show other people how to do all this stuff and how to get their Railcraft really going automatically. Like, everybody wants Tekkit to be turned into like an automatic system, kind of like this with quarries. I mean, that's one of the main things in Tekkit. So we're also going to need 12 detectors, so a bunch of pressure plates. You're actually going to need stone for this, so get rid of the cobblestone here. And get some stone back. Luckily enough, we have plenty. More than enough. Can I get 12? I'm actually going to need a lot more wood, though. Get one of you. Luckily enough, by now we have more than enough materials for anything we ever want to do, so that's not going to be a problem. And some of you are asking for the world download. I'm still figuring out. Like, I know how to do it, I just really haven't gotten around to it. I said that I would have it up for the Minecraft travels, and I did not do that, so I'm sorry about that, but I'll try my best to get it up. I know a lot of you will probably want Tekkit. You could probably care less about the Minecraft travels one, so. But first we're going to make item loaders. You put the dispenser on top of the detector, and that'll give us 6 item loaders. And then you want to put, for the unloader, you need to put the dispenser beneath the detector. So don't make that mistake. Don't make a bunch of the same thing, because you do need both. You need loaders and unloaders. And like I said, you need 3 for each coke oven. So like I said, I would need 9 total, but I already have 3 on each. And actually, technically, you probably don't. That's if you're going individually. If you're not, actually, I can show you that later. If you're not, you're only, like, I'm going to have it set up for all 3 running on the same one. So you're actually going to need 1 less per, because you don't need the loaders or the unloaders for the chests, like where it's storing stuff and getting coal from. So also what we're going to need, we actually need to go to the train for this stuff. We're going to need boarding track and holding track, which if you're just doing it individually, you would only need boarding track, but also I'll show you guys that once that comes about. But this stuff's a little bit more complicated. You probably haven't seen this. Unless you're like looking up like me on YouTube about Railcraft, you probably have never seen this or have really never had to use it. So we're going to need stone rail beds, pressure plates, which crap, I hope I didn't use all the stone, and advanced rail and redstone. Advanced rail is a little bit more tricky. You need standard rail, redstone, and gold. So we actually need to go back and grab some gold. And you're going to need the rolling machine to make the standard rails, so if you don't have one here, you're going to need to make one in wherever you're doing your Railcraft activities. You're not going to need many. I believe it makes 8 per set, so don't go and like make an entire stack, because you'll probably never use it. But if you guys want to know how to make just the standard rails, you just need to, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You can either take steel, which you would use the blast furnace, which I can show you that real quick, or you just use normal iron ingots. I'll show you how to make steel really quickly. If you guys didn't see this from last episode, this is a blast furnace, and you would need to take your iron ingots and either put coal coke, which I'll grab some of this, or I believe charcoal. I believe normal coal won't work. I believe it's coal coke and charcoal. I could be wrong. Where'd it go? There it is. But if you're doing Railcraft, you're gonna have more than enough coal coke, so that's what you really need to be using, and it's a little bit more, I guess, cost efficient would be the best way to put this. If you use steel, because then you'd get double the amount, and it really doesn't take that much more. So I believe it's 1-to-1. Yeah, it's 1-to-1 for steel to iron, iron to steel, whichever way around you want to go. They actually go iron to steel, so you can't go steel to iron. But if you just want to make normal stuff, you need your rolling machine, easy, standard rail. So we're going to make a little bit of this just to get some ready and available. And like I said, you're not going to need much. this makes 8 per set, so I think I'm gonna make. I probably only need 1 set, so we'll only make 1 set of advanced rails. So you would take. Actually, do we need to do this on the? Oh, you do need to do it on the rolling machine. Okay, that's something good to know. So you need to do this on the rolling machine. So if you try to do it on a normal crafting bench, it will not work. So we'll get that. We'll actually do a couple of these, because we'll probably need more than just the 8. Would be my guess. Do a couple sets here. Now I'm trying to make this as easy as possible to understand, because it is a little bit complicated, like getting everything kind of distinguished and everything separate from each other. Now we should have wooden ties from the other episode. Where'd they go? There they are. Oh, and I have more crowbars there, but so for boarding track we're gonna need the stone rail beds, pressure plates, and redstone. I should still have stone somewhere. There it is. Get 2 of those. Make 1 advanced rail and redstone. Now that makes boarding track, and we're gonna need both for our system. We're gonna need boarding track and holding track. They work essentially the same way, except there is one major difference that I will show you. And it's basically the same way as the loaders and unloaders. Like, it's just flipped around here, so as you can tell, they work almost the same, except that, like, since the crafting table is... Actually, I don't need to do that on the rolling machine. The crafting recipe is almost the same, then that means it usually works the same way. It's just there's going to be one difference or another. And they kind of look the same, so if you're making this and you're looking on the side here, you really need to go by the name, boarding track and holding track. And as you can see here, this one has a little T, or upside down T at the bottom. That's the main difference, and I'll show you that really quick once we go over here. And I'm going to make it, some of you don't like it when we cheat in this, but I need to make it day because this is way too much work to be blown up by a creeper. So I'm actually going to get rid of some of this. I'm going to get rid of this side. And there's a skeleton. And we're actually going to move that over to... Actually, I think we should move this too. We're going to move this over. Ah! You don't have to take this out with a crowbar, but I just want to be very careful if you're using the red Qatar and red Morningstar. They do a lot of damage, especially if you have charged up and you click the wrong button, as in right clicking it would be very bad. You'll do a lot of damage quickly, and you don't want to do that around this stuff because it is expensive. So I just had this, oops, I had this set up because I wanted to show you guys how to do it if you just want to do one. But it's going to be basically the same setup essentially. And if you're just doing one, you only need these boarding tracks. If you're doing multiple ones, you are going to need holding tracks. So that's the, actually we'll fill this in a little bit. That's the main difference. But we could, I think we could keep that right there. Actually put a, do I have a chest? I do. I just need a place to put some of this crap. Get rid of you. Pick up all this. Thank you. Alright, so, like I said in the beginning of the episode, you're going to need 3 loaders and 3 unloaders per thing. But there's going to be a small difference here because of the way we're setting this up. You're not going to need as many, but just build enough to be prepared. Be prepared to kind of adjust and You're not going to have the same exact setup as me probably, but it's going to be relatively similar. God damn it, come on. Oh, and I have an itch in my throat and it won't go away. Alright, so here we have a boarding track and then normal rail. And I'm going to need a lot more normal rail. Hold on. Railcraft is expensive and I don't have my ring. Railcraft is very fun though, so if you guys are like thinking about starting to do it or aren't quite sure, you really need to try it out. Like if you're starting to get bored with Tekkit, kind of like, I'm not essentially getting bored with it, but there's so many things in Tekkit that most people don't even realize that are there, and you really need to like kind of expand what you want to be doing here. Alright, so we're gonna make this go down to here, I think. We're actually gonna, crap, I need that wood. Now it doesn't need to look pretty, unless you want to make it look good. Like you could use normal brick here, because it does have the same texture, just a little bit of different color. But I'm gonna put wood down here for one purpose. And on the bottom here, you're gonna need item unloaders. They can go anywhere really on the bottom, but they have to be on the bottom. They have to be on this bottom 3x3 section. They can't be anywhere else if you want to get creosote oil out. So I could put it there or there, but it just looks better when it's in the middle. And then for our setup, we're actually going to need, these are going to be the holding tracks here. And then you're going to have a boarding track at the end here. And as you can see, the little T section, that's essentially determining which way the cart's going to go once it reaches here. And you'll see, like, I'll purposely change this, and then I'll start running the cart. Now that's the wrong setup, but, yeah, right here, this is the wrong setup, but I'll show you why it's the wrong setup once we get the cart all set up here. Ugh. And this tickle in my throat will not go away. Ugh. And then here we're going to need, once again, another boarding track. And actually underneath that you're going to need the, so you're going to need the item unloader at the bottom here. And then the boarding track. And once again, that's wrong. So in order to switch it, you're going to need a crowbar. And you can switch it back and forth as many times as you want. But obviously crowbars have durability, so. And then at the end here, you're going to want a chest, which I use the chest. Crap. Hopefully this thing doesn't have anything in it. So we'll get our chest back. We'll bring that over here. We will put the chest down. It needs to be touching. Doesn't matter where, it just needs to be touching somewhere. And then our bottom thing here is done. So this is going to take our creosote oil and bring it back to this chest. But I'll show you guys how this works really fast, and I'll show you why it won't work right away. But if you guys are wondering, like, oh, there's no power going to this, these item loaders and unloaders send a redstone pulse, so it will trigger these. That's why you need to use holders and border tracks. So there that goes. But at the end here, it will stop. It won't work. It won't go back and forth like it's supposed to. That's because of this. You need to switch this around so that the T is the stop, essentially. In the same way it works up here, the T part is the stop. So now it should go back and forth consistently. Now you can't have it here, you cannot have a T here, a boarding track, because it will just stop it. Like, I'll put one down just to show you guys, because I know some of you will probably have, like, you might make the mistake of doing it. And I want to show you what happens when you do that. So, like, either way it won't work if you're trying to do a multiple setup thing. So it's going to go, and it's going to come back, and then it's going to stop, and then go back because of the T here. If you just use a normal holding track, it will work the same exact way, except it will allow it to go back and forth both ways. So that's why you need a holding track and not a boarding track on the bottom here. This allows it to go back and forth both ways, but it will stop it. It will get these creosote oil from the coke ovens, just like a boarding track. So if you guys are wondering why it's not working, that's probably one of your issues, one of the things that's going wrong. And this one's going to be a little bit more complicated here, because I probably should have moved this over. Let's see if we can do this. Now for this, I'm going to need to... Alright. So here it's going to be opposite. It's going to be... Because this is going to go on the top. So now we're going to... You really need this ring. We're going to be having item unloaders on the top here. And this is how you get the coal into the coke oven. And if you guys are having trouble placing down your things, like if you just normally right click, it'll open up the GUI. If you shift and right click, it'll work perfectly for you. And then you can place it down, so. And then on these, once again, you're going to need either a holding track or a boarding track, just like on the bottom where the creosote oil is getting. And then at the end here, going to use a boarding track. So on our two middle ones, we're using holding, and then there's a boarding track at the end there. Then in between here, I'm just going to place wood. Doesn't look the greatest. I can always change it, but it's going to need to be one up. Like, just for it to be flat. It doesn't need to be, but it just looks better. Doesn't need to be flat. Oh. But obviously it won't span the gap unless you use another special type of rail, which I haven't shown you guys how to do yet, but this is just a basic way of doing it. And falling is never. Come on. Ugh. Alright, we're gonna put the ring somewhere there. You always need the ring. Oh, this is gonna be difficult. Okay. So then we're gonna bring it out here. Actually, we should probably just bring it all the way out and then down. Bring it down. Clean this up a little bit. And I think I just stopped that cart. Okay, clean it up a little bit. Now, like I said, it's going to need to be opposite here, so this is going to be an item loader now, loading coal into the chest, or into a chest. So once again, here you're going to use a boarding track, and then I think the orientation will... No, whoops. Yes, the orientation will switch, so if it does it sideways like that, don't worry. But we're going to go up here, and then hook it into our system. So then here, we're going to need actually another chest. I'm going to make it day again, so I don't get bombed. So like I said, it's a little bit complicated to get going, but once you like figure out the basics of this, it's actually a very easy system. And once again, just have a chest touching any side of this, except for obviously the bottom. You don't want it on the bottom here. But the boarding track with the T, make sure that's correct. And then we're actually going to set this side up, and then we'll actually be ready to go once we get this side set up. At the end of here, a boarding track. Normal rail, holding track, normal rail, another holding track, and the weather just does not want to cooperate with me today. So we're actually going to run back. Actually, I have a bunch of coal here. Going to put coal down, then we're going to get our chest carts. If you guys don't know how to make a chest cart, you just need to take a mine cart and then put a chest above it. I could show you how to do it real quick. It's not too difficult. Do I have enough for a chest? Yeah. Alright. So if you have a... Actually, I had a crafting bench there, didn't I? I did. Trying to keep everything as simple as possible, and I'm confusing myself. Alright, so... It's not how you make a minecart. That's how you make a minecart. And then a chest. and then you take the minecart, and then you put the chest in there, and it does that. Makes a chest cart. You can also use a tank cart. Like, this isn't the only application for loaders and unloaders. There's other things like for the oil. There's ways you can implement Railcraft into all this, but for this application, you just need chest carts. For some reason, oh, it's loading. Okay. So it should go up top, and since this one's full, or at least it should be full. Yep, it's full, so it went on to the next one and put 64 in there, and then went to this one and put 14 because of the inventory system on these loaders and unloaders. So this actually puts 64 coal into the inventory, 64 coal into the inventory, and then over here it didn't have enough, so it only put 14 into this coke oven. So, but as you can see, it's going back and forth. It's working very, very smoothly. This one's picking up our coal coke, bringing it to this one. This is our creosote oil, and then this is our coal. So if you fill this up with coal, like, there's ways that you can, theoretically, you could, I think you could probably do it with one of these. It's a little bit more difficult with filters. Or let's say you accidentally put, I'm actually going to grab some of this coal so I can show you this. Let's say this chest, for whatever reason, somebody came by and put a bunch of crap in here. Now the loader is going to take all of that stuff and put it into the cart, even though it's completely useless to that. So if you just want coal, you throw one coal into the filter and it works perfect. And then we'll take this stuff back out of this cart here. If we can stop it. Stop. This cart doesn't want to stop. There it goes. And we'll put all this stuff back in. Not that. And we'll get the cart going again. And then it did not load any of that. But once it comes back, it will take this coal away. So if you guys want to be safe, you can put a filter in. You can also adjust the percentage and the number. For this application, it's not really useful. It doesn't seem to work for me. It's a little like going back and forth between percentage and number. It'll just reset it. So I haven't quite figured that out yet, but for this application, we didn't really need to do anything with it. So if you guys do know stuff about it, please leave that in the comments. Please. Otherwise, I'll look it up if we start doing other things with Railcraft. Like, obviously, you could set up this to do the blast furnace too for steel. As you can see here, steel and iron. You could set it up so it puts coal coke into here, iron into here, and then takes out the steel. But regardless of what you do with the coke oven, whether you do Railcraft or you do Buildcraft, you need to take, like, you guys are probably sick of this, but you need to take the coal coke out of the side, you need to get the creosote oil out of the bottom, and you need to put the coal into the top. So regardless of what you do, whether it's Buildcraft or Railcraft, you need to go by that, otherwise it will not work. Like, you can't put coal into here through the side. You need to put it through the top. It's kind of like everything else with chests and stuff, and as you guys know from our sorting facility and doing the furnaces and crap like that, and all the other machines, it works the same exact way. So this is just pretty much the basic automatic setup for your coal coke oven. So if you guys have any questions, anything at all about Railcraft, if you want to see more Railcraft, let me know. Leave comments, leave something on my Twitter account, Warrior991HD. Ask questions, leave comments, do stuff, stay involved in this, and hopefully you guys learned something from this episode, because I learned quite a bit trying to figure all this stuff out, and I'm sure there's people out there that really wanted to see this, and hopefully you guys did learn something. Hopefully you guys can implement this into your worlds, or if I get the world download up, maybe you guys can get more of these going. If you want more than 3, you could have 50, you could have 100, you could have so many more. But if you guys did leave or learn something, if you guys did enjoy it, please leave a like, please favorite, share with your friends, get more people involved in this Tekkit series because it is our most popular series. It seems like more people want more Tekkit. So if you guys do want more Tekkit, just ask for it. Let me know. I know people want to see the rings. I'm thinking about doing like a mini series type thing about the rings where it kind of sounds like Lord of the Rings. I think there's there's probably at least 5 different rings. So instead of doing one gigantic episode with all of them, maybe I could do a series of smaller ones, like 10 to 15-minute ones on how to make them and what abilities they have. Maybe that will be a little bit better so that if you're just looking for one specific ring, you could see that. But a lot of things were done in this episode. If you guys do like the longer episodes, once again, just leave a comment. Let me know what you guys like, what you dislike. Just, I'm really kind of, it's hard for me doing this as a single player because I don't know like where to keep the length of episodes. If people like seeing a lot of things in one episode, it's like, okay. If people want to see less things and want it smaller episodes and more condensed, so that if you want to come back and watch this again, it's not too difficult. But once again, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Please just stay involved in this series. I love it when you guys leave comments and everybody's kind of talking back and forth and learning things. So once again, hopefully you enjoyed the episode and have a nice day.